And welcome to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. Kristen, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for asking. And Greg, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic as well.
Good. I'm so glad. I'm glad you're both here today because, again, we talk about this every week, but I know how busy you are. And I know the viewers, they look so forward to the shows each week. You're delivering amazing information to the viewers about how to plan properly for retirement.
Yeah, a lot of my friends are always surprised that I work with 3 kids at home, but I love what we do. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So we just got done with our busy cross-country season and football, and we're going into basketball now, but I love it all. I love being a mom. I love working. I just like being around people.
Well, and you balance it all so beautifully, Kristen. You're so busy. You're one of the busiest families I know. You're constantly going to the different events and what have you. So you do a beautiful job.
Oh, thank you.
Well, today's show, I'd love to talk to you both a little bit about estate planning if we could, because obviously a lot of people going into the retirement years, they're perhaps thinking that they don't need an estate plan. But let's break that down a little bit. In your experience, Greg and Kristen, let me start with you. Is an estate plan necessary for retirement?
Well, only if you want your wishes to be carried out.
Okay.
You know, so, and what I mean by that is certainly there's different ways to get what we leave behind to somebody we care about. And it's been unique here lately. We've had probably 10 or 15 single people come in this year that didn't have kids, had no previous spouse. They've just been single their entire life.
Okay.
And so beneficiaries and what's left behind is not most important. It's not top of mind. They don't wake up every day thinking, well, gosh, when I'm gone, who's going to get my stuff? That's not really what they're thinking about. But it's really even more than that. An estate plan encompasses the things that you want to happen while you're living and the things that you want to happen once you're gone. So as an example, there's something called a financial durable power of attorney. It's something we call an ancillary document. But what that does is if we become incapacitated, you know, Lord forbid, we have a stroke or we have some other health issue and we're unable to act on our own behalf, we will have named somebody that can pay our bills, that can make deposits for us, that can be our fiduciary, if you would, on our behalf for our finances. Someone we trust, obviously, would need to be our financial fiduciary, our financial power of attorney. So that's an important document to have. A healthcare power of attorney, because somebody should be designated, especially if you don't have a spouse, to make healthcare decisions in the event that we're not able to.
Yeah.
Living wills. What do we want to happen at the end of our life? Do we want to be resuscitated? You know, would we want to be put on life support? All those types of things. Those are all part of the ancillary documents that are part of an overall estate plan or legacy plan, if you would. That's part of our legacy while we're still alive. So then, how do we transfer things? We can transfer them through a basic will. And a basic will will get things to the people we want. There's just a pit stop in between.
Okay.
And that's called probate.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. All
I
right.
like that, a pit stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that pit stop is not the end of the world, but it is costly. Typically 2 to 8% of the estate.
Time consuming.
Time consuming. It can take 9 months to 2 years to settle, and loss of privacy. Of course, if you're gone and you don't have any heirs, maybe you don't really care about the privacy part, but it does make everything a matter of public record. And if someone's nosy enough, they can go check out what went through probate and know everything you left behind. And if you do nothing, it goes intestate, and therefore the court system gets to decide what goes to who, and so forth, and that can be very costly and very time consuming. And even people that are single without kids would rather someone that they care about, whether it be a nephew or a niece or a charity or some organization, get it instead of the court system.
Yeah.
And really, I think I want to interject here. I feel like it can be very simple. I think sometimes things seem complicated, so we just don't do anything at all.
Sure.
So a lot of times we'll talk about trusts and wills and documents, and certainly, especially the healthcare and financial power of attorneys are very important. But outside of that, it can be as simple as just naming beneficiaries. So making sure those things are done, the simple things that just takes one form, and if you're already working with an advisor, surely they should have a team that is able to service your account and do that for you. But we've had situations where that wasn't very easy, and we're more than happy to help update beneficiaries on an account, show you what to do, try to find the form with you, fax it in, email it in. It's not a problem at all. It takes maybe 5 minutes, but it does prevent probate in some cases. Just that one thing, just having a beneficiary named.
Right. In fact, we just began working with a family probably 2 or 3 months ago. And it was kind of interesting. They came to see us 6 years ago. They called in from our radio show. They came in and they were in their mid-50s, and all their money was tied up in their employer plans, so their 401k and their 403b. So we couldn't help them manage anything. We couldn't set up a plan for them yet. But something I noticed when they came in was that they had no estate planning documents in place. So we helped them get an appointment with one of the estate planning attorneys that we worked with. They got all those things taken care of. They got everything in order from that standpoint. Everything that we could take care of for them at that point, we helped them take care of. And so they came in and they said, we were so impressed that when you couldn't make any money off of us, that you were still willing to help. And that's really what a fiduciary is all about. It's not about whether or not we make money on somebody. And this is so important. Whoever you're meeting with, if you get the sense that they're only meeting with you because they can make money off of you, they're probably not really having the heart of a fiduciary. So an estate plan is really just a part of an overall retirement plan, your investment plan, your income plan, your tax plan, your healthcare plan, your estate plan, your legacy plan, if you would.
Yeah, the income plan, that it just popped in my mind. Another situation we had where, and she did become a client, but she came in with annuities she had already gotten from another advisor. And I asked why she had purchased them, and she said, well, I like the idea of not having a lot of risk. And so we go on with the conversation, all that. She said, but I really need income right now, and I'm trying to figure out what I need to change to meet my income needs. Do you know what I'm talking about now?
Yes, because he had her cashing them out.
So we start going down this road, and she said, well, but I think I'm going to cash these out. So what would you propose I do instead? So I started reviewing the annuities she had, and I said, why would you cash these out? They were old. They were older, probably 10 years old, or maybe 8 years old, close to out of the surrender charge period. They were a 10-year policy.
Okay.
And she said, well, because there's better stuff right now. I said, but you've got good policies here. I don't know why you cash them out. You've got income riders on them. And she said, oh, I do? And I said, yeah, not only that, you weren't even paying for these income riders. These were free. Now they cost something. Usually they cost around 1%, maybe a little more in some cases, but these were free. And all you have to do is turn on the income rider. And I sat there, pull my calculator out, and I'm calculating. And I'm like, I'll call her Jill, that's not her name. Jill, you have exactly enough money here in these income riders to cover your income need. Oh, I do? And I said, yeah, I have no idea why they would want to, well, actually, she said, I have no idea why he would tell me to cash them out then. And I knew why, but I don't ever throw another advisor on the bus. That's just not how I operate. I said, well, I don't know. Maybe they didn't understand how these worked. Maybe they didn't remember, but all we have to do is turn the riders on. Oh, can you help me do that? Of course. All we have to do is send in a form saying that I can be the advisor on the account. I don't make any money from doing that, but I don't care. It's just 2 forms we have to fill out to turn these riders on. No big deal. We're done in 10 minutes?
Yeah.
No big deal. So sometimes I think just having a second set of eyes look over something. And like I
Yeah.
said, I don't want to think the worst of the other person. Maybe they just forgot those riders were on there. Maybe they didn't know the calculations of the
Yes,
amounts.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to say anything.
You never know.
But just going through the motion of looking over things regularly
How
and doing
about
that
how about
review.
something new? Let's just do the right thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that just
Golden
be
rule.
amazing if we just could
100%.
do the right thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Golden rule. Absolutely. Well, Greg, I know that you and Kristen have a very special offer to present to our viewers at home today. Let's talk about what that is before we open the phone lines.
I do, because ultimately our goal for you is simply to help you reach your goals. So we invite you to come in and tell your story. And maybe you've got an old annuity that you're not quite sure what you should do with, or maybe you have an income need that you're not quite sure how to fill, or you're worried because you think you might have more risk in your portfolio than you're comfortable with. Or maybe you've got an old will that's 30 years old and you're not quite sure who to go to that you can trust to get your documents updated. That's all part of our complete planning review. So anyone that calls before the end of today's show, we'll set up an appointment with one of our advisors to help make sure that nothing's slipping through the cracks in your plan.
Greg, thank you so much. Kristen, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, the number to call is on your screen. That number is 614-336-7660. We know you have a lot of questions for Greg and Kristen about how to plan your perfect retirement. They have the answers for you. Again, if you have your smartphone, go ahead and click on that QR code. It's going to take you to their landing page. We have to take a very short commercial break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, I'm going to talk to Greg and Kristen about how people define the word wealthy. What does it mean to you? Stay tuned.
Plan smart, retire well. How do you do that? You know, many times we meet families and they actually think they have a plan.
But what about when you want to upgrade your house? What about when your wife wants to buy new furniture?
No investment decision should be made outside the context of a plan. So what is your plan? We believe in the 3-bucket approach as it comes to your finances. Your liquid bucket, which is what I call the sleep well at night account, for when the what ifs happen in life. Your income bucket, which is there to meet the gap between Social Security, maybe a pension, and what you really want to live in. We believe you should protect that income, then grow the rest. And then your growth bucket. The growth bucket's really focusing on helping you achieve your growth goals. As you transition from your working career to retirement, we want that to be the greatest moment of your life, and we don't want you to fumble the ball.
So imagine, when you're working, you're getting a paycheck. When you're retired, you have to pay yourself. The 3-bucket approach is a really easy way for people to start compartmentalizing what they're doing with their money.
We want you to be successful in any economy. We want you to thrive no matter what's going on. You know, worry and fear and greed are the biggest problems when it comes to investing. We want to take that off the table, and we want to make sure you have a consistent growth strategy. We want you to be just as successful in your retirement plan as you were in your accumulation plan.
And welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. I love this next segment because actually this ties into a Schwab 6th Annual Modern Wealth Survey. When you talk to people about defining wealthy, their answers are very interesting. So this is really interesting. Wealthy starts for most people around 2.2 million of net worth, but last year respondents put their definition of wealthy at 1.9 million. So I know a lot of families come in, obviously, to your firm, if you will, and they talk to you about helping them. But what if they feel like they're not wealthy? What advice do you give to them, Greg?
You know, sadly, we had someone call the office recently that watches the show, and they love Kristen and I. They said, you know, we know that we probably don't have enough money to work with you. We only have about $400,000. And, you know, so Lindsay, our assistant, came and said, Greg, can you call this person? They called in, they love you guys, and they don't think they have enough to work with you. Well, just know, in our practice, we have a private wealth division. So we do have a division that's really specifically for the wealthy and for business owners, and we have a section for that because their needs are unique. They're different.
Yeah.
But we also have a team you know, not one person can be all things to all people. So we have a team, and we have folks that are there, part of our team, to help everybody. So as long as someone saves something, you know, if you save $200,000, or you save $300,000 or $400,000 or more, and you want help, we have a team member to help. We have someone. And by the way, we went out when we wanted someone to help the folks that Chris and I just didn't have time any longer to meet with more people.
Yeah.
So we didn't go and find a newbie out there. We found an 11-year industry veteran.
Wow.
Someone that knew the ropes, someone that could help
Yeah.
in these situations. Why? Because they had experience
Absolutely.
in these situations. And so we don't want anybody feeling like they're not good enough for Legacy Retirement Group, because the plan is not based on how much money somebody has, but what their need is.
Well, and the other important part of that puzzle too, and I obviously completely agree with you, is making sure that what we can offer makes sense for the situation. Every
Exactly.
situation is unique. We have typically, if you call in from our TV show, Jessica in our office will call you back and start asking some questions, trying to get a understanding of where you're at as far as savings goes, but not just that, where you're at as far as what you want that money to do for you. Now, she doesn't go too deep into things, but she does start getting an idea if we would both be a fit. And
Right.
sometimes she is not quite sure, so she'll schedule a phone call. So if you call in and you know you're not quite sure what you want to do, you maybe just schedule a phone call and go from there.
But we want to know everybody receives the same type of planning process.
Okay.
Now, everybody's planning is different, because we have business owners that need some very intricate life insurance planning, some business planning. We're going to refer them to some business planning CPAs and specialists and attorneys that specialize in those types of things. And why? Because their needs are very unique to them. But a couple that comes in that save $400,000 and they need income to make sure they can pay their bills in retirement, they want to make sure they can take a vacation and spoil some grandkids. You know, we have a plan for that too. So we want to help each family maximize their Social Security benefit, become efficient with risk. We want them to have an income strategy that gives them confidence moving forward that they're not going to outlive their money. We want to make sure they have an efficient tax strategy based on their situation. We want to make sure that they have a health care plan in place, because we don't want health care derailing their retirement. And as we mentioned earlier in the show, whatever's left over, we want them to have an effective legacy plan so they can leave what is their financial legacy to the people they love as efficiently as possible. That's all part of the plan. So it doesn't matter to us if you have $5 million or $500,000, we have someone to help.
I love that. So that is so important, because we talk about that each week on the show, that you genuinely care about your clients. But obviously this segment really dials into that so directly and so deeply, because you're willing to listen to anyone who wants to talk to you and to tell you their specific situation. I know that no two plans for retirement are ever exactly the same.
Right.
And a lot of people do feel intimidated talking to a financial advisor, because maybe they don't think they make enough money, but you make it so simplistic for them.
Yeah, you feel judged almost, because you're
Yeah.
opening yourself up to a taboo subject, right? Most people don't like talking about money to their spouse, let alone to a stranger, so it's hard. And we have so many resources. So many times on the show we offer a complete planning review. But if you're watching today and you're thinking, I don't even know if I need a complete planning review yet, we have so many resources. We have Greg's book. We like to offer to send out a copy or send out an electronic copy. We have our retirement kit that helps you start planning out what you need for retirement and what you need to ask as far as your plan goes. We also have articles and guides that Greg's written over the years. So many resources. If you just pick up the phone and call our office at 614-336-7660, you can talk to someone at our office. They can help guide you to those resources, see which one would be a fit for you and your needs with retirement.
Kristen, thank you so much. Greg, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, the number to call is on your screen. That number is 614-336-7660. We know that you have a lot of questions for Greg and Kristen about how to plan your perfect retirement. Perhaps you don't even know where to start. They're offering you a complimentary consultation, and all you have to do is pick up the phone and call in today, or just grab your smartphone and click on that QR code in the bottom corner of your screen. We're going to take a very short commercial break, but don't go anywhere. I have more with Greg and Kristen about how to plan your perfect retirement when we return.
Welcome to Winning Retirement Radio with Greg and Kristen Taylor.
Kristen and I love doing Winning Retirement Radio.
You know, it's funny. Greg dragged me kicking and screaming to the radio show. He saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. I was scared to death. I couldn't even do a sound check. And he just convinced me, I really think it would be great for people to get the dynamic of us together.
I think it's cool that Greg and Kristen have a radio show. And I think it's cool that I work for a company with a public media presence.
It's a way to talk directly to people that I know are tuned in for specific information. And so for us, it's just, letting ourselves be us.
And of course, I'm a battered husband. I get picked on every week on the show.
It's like being a fly on the wall.
And a lot of our listeners just really enjoy my singing more than anything else on the show.
We kind of get a sneak peek.
I might just break out in song at any time.
Greg pretty much singing every radio show.
Ave Maria.
He says something that I think is funny. I call him out on it. He does me too. And I think that realness that we're able to provide is something that's different.
I love the radio show.
It's really cool to kind of see it from when it's being recorded to what it is when it's live.
We have a lot of fun.
It's one of my favorite things that we do.
It's certainly been a joy.
When people come into our office, they feel like they already know us.
And welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. I love this next segment because this talks about longevity. So people are living longer today than ever before, and it's very interesting. It says life expectancy in 1970 was just under 71 years. In 2022, it's about 79 years. But that's just the average. So think about that. If we live longer than that, we need to have our retirement actually last longer as well. This study also says by Age Wave that retirees generally fall into one of four categories. Category number one, the purposeful pathfinders plan for retirement. Category number two, relaxed traditionalists retire on their own terms. Number three, challenged yet hopefuls. They start planning later and they may make early withdrawals. And then regret strugglers are number four. They are the least prepared and they're the most happy. Most of us, if not all, should fall into one of the first two categories. But let's talk about this for a second. What about people that are approaching retirement? They're fearing that they're going to run out of money. Let's talk about how we can help avoid that risk. Greg?
Well, I don't want to be one of those regretful strugglers, right? And so a lot of avoiding regrets is simply planning up front. Kristen and I did, a year and a half ago, we did 2 years maybe now, we did a major remodel on our house. So for about 3 or 4 months, it was tore up from the floor up. I mean, it was a mess. But because we did so much preparation up front, 6 months earlier, we had to order, 7 months earlier, we ordered our cabinets. And a couple months later, we ordered our appliances. And then we hired someone to be our general contractor, and they coordinated all the pieces. And that's kind of what Kristen and I are for a family that's retiring, is we sort of become the general contractors.
Okay.
We coordinate everything. We're not attorneys, but we can coordinate attorneys to help get their estate plan in order. And by the way, we don't manage the money. We've hired a team with years of experience that are very qualified, and they know way more about managing assets than I do. So therefore, they are our wealth management team.
Okay.
And they partner with us. They are our partners with you and your family. And so they are part of the team. And then, accountants, they're part of the team. Everyone is a part of the team. And what happens is now that we did all the planning ahead of time and we did get the right people in place, now we have a beautiful remodel. And you know what? It turned out exactly like we envisioned it to do.
Well, and I would like to say there is that with what's that T-shirt saying I've seen recently? It's faith over fear.
Yes.
I like to call it facts over fear in this case, because it's a valid fear, a valid concern to say, okay, I might live a long time. My paternal grandmother, my dad's mom, she lived to be, 98? Mm-hmm. Her mother lived to be 101.
Yep.
And I think there's some other longevity on that side of the family. So it's a valid concern.
Sure.
But let's take the facts. Let's address the fear with facts and say, okay, we can do things
Yeah.
to plan for that happening, right? We want you to live a long, prosperous life. We don't want you to pass away in your 70s and not get to enjoy your retirement. So we want to take the facts that you may live that long and address that fear by saying, okay, well, we can plan for that.
Yeah.
You know, it may mean that you end up with more on the back end than you expected, but at least you got to live and didn't have to worry, which ages you, by the way, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, when
Of course.
I went through this time period where I was worried about everything. I was basket case. And I saw lines pop up on my forehead. It aged me,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? So
Oh,
we don't
yeah.
want to worry. We want to just enjoy these years that we have, that we've worked so hard to get to.
Absolutely.
And you know, we talk all the time, Cynthia, about having a plan, and certainly a plan's so important, but understanding how you get to the plan.
Yeah.
So the first thing is people come in and they tell us their story. That's so important. And what I mean by their story is what retirement looks like to them, whether it means travel, whether it means just hanging out with the grandkids and going to ball games, whether it means spending 6 months in a warmer climate where the, you know, where the sun actually shines.
Yep.
You know, one of those places. And
Right.
yeah, and all that, they tell us their story. And then from that, they tell us their concerns. Okay, here's what worries me. Here's what keeps me up at night. And we address those things. We create an income plan. Why? Because once we give them the income, now they know they can pay their bills. We protect that.
Yeah.
No matter what, they're going to have that income. Now we can grow the rest. And there's going to be volatility in that growing the rest part. That's some of the unknowns because we don't know how much it's going to grow. We kind of have a projection of what we think it might do, but we don't know for sure. So we sleep well at night money, we income plan money, and then we growth bucket money.
I love that.
And that ends up writing their story in their own words.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, Greg, with only a minute left of the show this week, I know there's a very special offer that you and Kristen would like to make. Let's talk about that one final time.
So I just want to invite you to come in and tell your story. We want to listen to it. We want to hear it. We want to, you know, a couple came in recently and they told us their story about how they got together and they lost their spouses and now they're together, but they needed a plan. So come tell us your story. We'll help you create a plan. Pick up the phone, give us a call, let us hear your story.
Greg, thank you so much. Kristen, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, most specifically, we'd like to thank you for spending time with us today. That number to call is 614-336-7660. If you have your smartphone handy, go ahead and click the corner of your screen. It'll take you right to Greg and Kristen's landing page. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We look forward to seeing you back 1 week from today on Winning Retirement TV.